This is called the Bright and New Shiny Objects. And these are really great companies that want to do a pitch in front of you. And so forget the cowbells right now. Like, that's the point of the session, is for them to do the pitch. So give them good feedback that doesn't include a cowbell, right? And then the way that this is gonna work, it's gonna be quick, on and off. So we have our very first person who's gonna do it, and then after she's done, the next person comes right up, and there's 4 of these. So this is gonna be really cool. I'm excited. So I would love to introduce Maria Sheetz. She's the Director of Sales and Tourism for Journera. So come on up.
Sleep, sleep. Now that the night is over, and the sun comes like a god.
Let's see if they're forwarding. Great. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you guys so much for spending your afternoon listening to a product pitch. I promise I'm going to give a little bit about who we are, what we do, and then I'm going to give you case examples. So it will be less salesy, but I have to go really fast to stay on target here. So who's Journera? We basically are a company, a startup that was founded by our founding partners here. And the founding partners include 6 major travel players. They are 2 major airlines, which include United and American, and 4 major hotel companies, which are Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, and IHG. So with this, we're in a joint venture with them. In all honesty and transparency, our CEO was the founding CEO of Orbitz and has great airline and hotel connections, obviously, in the industry, and that's how Journera was born. So what we do is we actually have a direct API connection into the reservation systems of those 6 brands. So what we receive from them on our Journera platform is real-time booking information, trip signals about anyone who has booked a reservation or on an airline or a hotel within our system. And you might ask, what do we do with that information? Well, we've been working with DMOs across the country in building targeted audiences, because what we have is that known traveler. These are not intent travelers. These are known travelers with IDs. Name, address, email address. We know the zip code of where they're coming from. So what makes us different and unique is that this is all first-party information. This does not involve cookies. We are a cookieless platform, and I'll say that again, cookieless platform. So we are taking marketers and preparing you for the next generation when cookies become deprecated. So our model is cookieless. It is all first-party direct information coming into our platform. And basically that gives us the opportunity to build these targeted audiences and get very specific and very granular into who you are trying to reach to come to your destination. In addition to this, this is all real time. We receive signals every minute of every day of people who are booking trips with those airlines and with those hotel companies. And I should mention, it's any booking channel, so it doesn't matter what channel that you book on. If it's, for example, if it's a United ticket, it could be on United.com. It could be Expedia, as long as it's a United ticket, it's coming through us. It could be any GDS, any OTA, any travel management, like an American Express Travel that does a ticket. It's because it's all coming from that first-party source, which is United, and for the rest of our partners as well. So it is really confirmed traveler information. What I like to say is we have the bookers, not the lookers. So we're not looking at people and targeting people that's based on someone thinking about traveling, researching a lot online about traveling, and following that traveler. We actually have the known traveler identity of the person traveling. So what does that mean for destinations? We can target in a number of different ways, and these are some of the examples. We can look at your origin. We can look at the destination of where you're coming from and the destination of where you're going to, because we get that from the booking engine. We can look at the trip length of how long a person is staying in a certain destination. We can look at loyalty. I should mention this, because they are part of our program, those 6 major travel brands, the 2 airlines and hotel partners that I mentioned, we have the loyalty information. And what does a loyalty member usually have? usually is spending a lot more money and is loyal to continuing to spend money and travel with that brand. So having the loyalty information is very important. There's a number of different things on here. Days to arrival. One of the things that a lot of destinations that we work with, the two things that they target the most are the origin and destination. I want to know everyone who has traveled historically to Chicago for the past 12 months or the past 24 months. We can target those people. We also look at similar destinations. So if I'm a location in Miami, let's say, I want to target people who have traveled to Miami in the past 12 months, past 24 months, but I also want to target people who've been to Orlando or Fort Myers. We can build that into the audience as well. So these are the most popular, I think, with destinations, audiences that we run are probably similar competing destinations as well as their own destination. But one of the things I think that also makes us unique is that these are custom-built audiences. These are not standard off-the-shelf audiences. All of these audiences are built to the needs of that destination. So we work with you to build what it is, the type of audience that you're looking to achieve and who to attract to your destination. And we do have some standard audiences that we pull from, such as people who like to attend, go to beaches or more inclined to go to ski resorts, things like that. But really, our true bread and butter is to build these. And we have a whole data science team that does nothing all day but build audiences to work with our destinations. So primarily looking at two different things. Historical audiences, we can look at any destination in the US of travelers that have traveled to that destination in the past 12 months, or we can go back probably about 3 years. Our company's been around since 2016, but our data, all data sets go back for about 3 years. We can look at luxury travelers, so someone who has paid $450 for an airline ticket or $500 for a hotel room, we can build that into, these are actual people who have paid these prices and can build that into a luxury market. So someone who's booked a first class ticket, anyone who's stayed in a luxury hotel, these are all things that are known travelers that we can build audiences off of for you to target. So historically, going back, we also have active reservations. So this is less for the destination, but maybe more for attractions in your destination or restaurants in your destination. We actually have the forward-looking reservations that look at people with active reservations from 7 days out to 3 months out. So obviously they're trying to sell tickets to their attraction or get people to come and dine in their restaurants, and all those partners that you work with in your destination, this is an audience that they would be interested in because it's people that have booked and are coming, forward-looking information. So what we do with these audiences is take them and basically manage programmatic campaigns. We do a media mix that shows up here of all the different models that we can use in our programmatic campaigns. And next, I'd like to get to a couple of case studies, which I think is the most interesting part of what you guys can relate to specifically. So one of our very first customers was Tampa Bay, and I think they're here. A shout out to Tampa Bay. They have come back. This campaign worked for them so well, they've come back 4 times and renewed this campaign. The audience that they built with Journera was an audience that looked at travelers who had traveled to Tampa Bay in the past but had not done that in the past 12 months. So they really wanted to hone in on looking at those that had previously traveled but not recently. And it was amazing. It was a 2-month campaign. It was digital, it was display campaign. The ROI, and this goes to show you how rich the audiences are, how highly qualified these confirmed traveler datas are. They compared it to another audience segment, and we received 152% return on ad spend, and an average daily rate that was 6% higher than that. So again, this speaks to that loyalty part that I was talking about. A lot of our customers are loyalty and are paying more to stay in these destinations, so the ADR rate is going to be higher. This was just an example of what the campaign screenshot looked like. Florida Keys, another customer. They were looking at more of an awareness campaign. Video sells their destination quite a bit. They came to us and wanted to do specifically CTV. We performed, what they were looking for were video completion rates. So The campaign lasted, it was test campaign, 2 months again. We completed 95% completion videos. It was 27% above what their target goal was for video completions. Again, they came back to us and said the campaign performed so well, they renewed their entire next year's fiscal budget with us. But this is, again, very high level. They were looking for luxury clients. Journera was able to do that by looking at first-party, first-class tickets and luxury hotels that people had booked to the Caribbean as well as other Florida destinations, including the Keys and their competitors. That was one of the samples that we did on Roku for them. Savannah, my next example. So Savannah every year does an airport campaign with their local airports, and they get funding from, Savannah puts in money, the airport puts in money. They came to us saying, we not only want to increase visitation to Savannah, we want to increase flights to Savannah. So they looked at an audience using Journera audiences, and those audiences were anyone that had visited Savannah in the past, historically, as well as anyone who was visiting their competing destinations, which I believe were Charleston, Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm blanking on their third competitor, but there were 3 competitors in there that they were looking at for flights to those as well as to Savannah. So they do this campaign every year, and so what they found was year over year, they had incredible bookings. And you can see here that there were, and I have to lean in, 606 flights booked during this campaign, as well as 8,781 rooms. And you can see the volume, the return on their, and it was a very low investment. It wasn't a huge investment for them. Again, they were testing us because we're newer-ish to the tourism industry. And their return on investment was 22-1. That was an example of their, one of their screenshots from their campaign. The next one is really a case study from an airline. And this particular one, they were looking at tier 1 and tier 2 cities. Their benchmark was, we want to make sure that the cost per site visit is no more than $10. Journera delivered a $4 cost per site visit. And the audiences, you can see, were historic travelers from their tier 1 and tier 2 markets. It was a display campaign, kind of mid-level funnel in the campaign, creating awareness. But then they came back and said, this successfully did so well, we want to continue it not only in the display category, but also add social component to it. And then the last example I'll give you is another airline that we work with that was looking to do a 1 fare day sale on 2/22/22. And it was an audience that we delivered. We didn't manage the campaign. We actually delivered the audience through LiveRamp, and they delivered the campaign on their side. But they said it was, and I'll quote them what they said about the performance, that it's the best data set they've ever seen used on Facebook for them. And this was, I'm going to give it away because it was a United campaign. This is what the social creative looked like for them. So I know I'm quick, I'm out of time according to this clock, but please link in with me. I'm here for the rest of the conference if you have questions. Our case studies are all listed on our website, www.journera.com/tourism. I'd be more than happy to share what we could do with your destination. Thank you.
Hello, hello. Okay, now it's my turn. My name is Fabio. Hello, beautiful people. I am from 100 Digital Creativity. We are a boutique agency. That means that we're small. But we serve a bunch of clients, no matter the size, no matter the budget. What we do, we prepare media. Our core business is about 360 media, images and videos. We prepare the web platforms and also mobile apps. What I'm gonna show you here is, what I'm gonna talk about for the next few minutes is about Terra. Terra Digital Luggage is our platform. I think is the most flexible solution for virtual reality, and not only virtual reality based on 360, but also on images and videos. So When I speak about Terra Digital Luggage, I like to describe it as an invisible box where you can stash media inside and data. And with this invisible box, what is going to happen is going to give you some superpowers, some modules that I'm going to go through in a second. So if you want to get in contact with me, Fabio@100-dc.com is my email on LinkedIn. I am spamming each one of you, but just for a couple of days, then I'm going to stop. So the beauty of Terra is that it's very flexible. So we have a bunch of media, again, very high resolution. We provide with top of the quality of 360 images and videos. I personally shot a bunch of projects from helicopters, hanging out of a helicopter with drones from the ground, swimming with sharks. You cannot imagine what I have seen. But what you can do with Terra is to reorganize this media and create stories. And each story is going to be, of course, dedicated to one of your prospect clients or vertical markets. So you can arrange linear stories, ramified stories, or you can do virtual tours. In the same time, you have the itinerary builder. So you have a virtual tour of your destination. What you can do is to pull up media, pull up pieces of this virtual tour. Let's say for your listing pages, or let's say you have a blog on your website. You want to embellish your blogs with these mini tours, with these miniatures. You can do that. You're going to a trade show, a wedding trade show. You want to show just the wedding venues. You can do this with itinerary builder. Less than 10 clicks and you're done. We have the digital luggage and we have Terrametrics. So the digital luggage works like you save your favorite. The users can go online, they can check what your destination is offering, the places where to dine, activities to do, and they can save it, they can share. They can share it with their spouse, with their family, with their travel agent, or they can share with your sales team. So this can be the real beginning for an RFP. Something I didn't say before, but we Photoshop the hell out of every single image. We take care of every single pixel we are delivering to you. We Photoshop things out or we Photoshop things in. So we can do visual staging, let's say ballrooms. We shoot the place empty and then we can visually stage whatever you want to have there. Terrametrics is our solution, is our reply to Google Analytics. We don't like Google. They are too big to talk with. So we have our solution to keep track of every single interaction. We provide the data with a nice and colorful, very colorful dashboard. What you can do with Terra is also print QR codes to bring people from your destination in real life to your digital twin. So you can put these ones. We did a couple of projects like that where we provided some content about pieces of land. This was actually was for an economic development authority. They wanted to talk about pieces of land, opportunities, local employers, schools. So we provided with these QR codes that were put on flags on the streets. More than questions. This is our new modules. Our new module. So what is this? Is we are presenting funny facts during the exploration of the destination, and we're asking questions. That is our way to do first-hand data. Have you ever been to my destination? Are you planning to come? Are you coming with your family? Few questions that can help profile that prospect and serve better media. Last one, this was released a month ago. So this is so we have a unique app that is the VR presenter. I'm sorry about the name, it's kind of lame, but we didn't have time to think about a funny name. So what you do from Terra, you can select the media that you want in your goggles. We're renting the goggles at no cost. So yeah, that's cool. So what you can do, you can select the media you want in the goggles. The goggles, they synchronize themselves with no human being touch. And you can go to trade shows. You can see what the goggles are playing, and you can talk over the images. You can have control of the goggles from your laptop. So yes, I think I was quick, maybe a little bit nervous, but I hope you enjoy my presentation. What can I say? I mean, we're small, and we give you all our attention. We've been working for small communities, very small businesses, up to large organizations. Atlanta, Bahamas are two of our biggest ones. They challenge us every single time with new, crazy ideas, and we deliver every single time. So, Fabio at 100-ds.com. Sorry for the spam, but you know, it's a sales.
Testing. Hello. I hate the way my voice sounds on a mic. I am Brandon Hurd, and before I get into things, I want to talk a little bit about social media. It's not lost on us that social media has become the new format for destination and experience discovery for next-gen consumers. I'm not going to belabor you with these stats. I think we're all very aware of this. But what I'd like to talk about is who is this next-gen consumer and what do we need to know about them? So in marketing, we love to name things, so of course I had to name them. I'm calling them experienced tastemakers. And I started my research trying to understand really like how do they look at travel, how do they look at planning? And I used comparative language analysis to understand what do they think about the word travel. And the first thing we learned was travel implies far away. So if they're looking for something local, travel is not the right word to use to talk about them, to market to them. The second thing we learned was when it comes to the word planning, that induces anxiety. So that's another word we don't want to use. But what this audience really, really lives up to is this idea of having taste when it comes to experiences. So there's two types of experienced tastemakers. The first is what I'm calling the maximizers. So these are people who are 25 to 34-year-olds. They're a little bit more affluent. They are very aware of the types of experiences that they're looking for, and they're really looking to make meaningful connections and memorable experiences with their loved ones. And they're not afraid to spend money to do that. So whether they're looking for something far, whether they're looking for something close, these are the types of experiences that they're looking for. The second is who I call the vibe finders. They're a bit younger, 21 to 25-year-olds. And these groups of people are really interesting because they're really looking for, quite literally, the vibe, right? They want to know, what is the vibe of this experience going to be like? Can I architect fun? They're not looking for the bougie nightclub. That's not attractive to them. They want to go to a space, an experience that feels real, organic, where they can architect their fun with their groups of friends, right? And so both of these two audiences really care about desirable experiences. But the problem with the most desirable experiences today is that they've become democratized and too common. Everyone is sort of running after the same thing. We are increasingly inspired by the same shows, the same viral videos, the same best of lists. And I hate to admit it, but literally after watching White Lotus season 2, me and my friend started to plan a trip to Sicily. And I was like, oh, I can't believe I fell into the trap of this. And while that's happening, this has led to this mass convergence of sameness, right? The same restaurants, the same destinations, the same cultural events. And all of this has resulted in these experiences feeling unmemorable, for experienced tastemakers, tasteless, and really frustrating, right? If you're a Taylor Swift fan, you know this, like the tickets went crazy because everyone is kind of just going after it. And so we landed on this insight, very simple but powerful. When everyone has access to something special, it's no longer special. Experienced tastemakers go to social media and content creators because they're looking for inspiration and ideas for those unique experiences for themselves and their groups, right? That's why we go to creators of culture, because we're consumers of culture. But the problem with social media is that discovering something special doesn't mean you'll actually make it actionable, right? Social media, the ones that we use today, they're not really designed for that. And so we all have become a victim of this, right? Choice paralysis, where we look for something and there's so many options. How do you get through the clutter? How do you find that thing that is really the right experience that you're looking for? We're seeing that when you do find that experience, you screenshot it, you bookmark it, and you save it for the right moment. But by the time that moment comes, you forgot that you saved it to begin with. We're seeing people outsource to different platforms. You go to your Notes app, some people go to Google Maps, and they create this laundry list of all the different places that they want to go to. And then what happens is after they take it a step further, and maybe they put it in this crazy Google spreadsheet, they're faced with what I call the planning paradox, right? You create this budget, you create the itinerary, you have all the details in the spreadsheet, but then people are still asking you questions. No one's actually looking at it. And so I co-founded a company called Pike. Pike lives at the intersection of social media, guide creation, and discoverability of destinations and experiences. And so Pike is a platform and an app that allows people to seamlessly curate and socialize guides with experiences that are unique to who they are, as well as the communities and subcultures that they belong to. And when I talk about experiences, I talk about destinations. It's things that can include, hikes. It can include restaurants and cafes. But what's really interesting about this is how niche it can get. And so being able to surface up really interesting experiences that people may not find on, the best of lists. And so when you find this experience, say you found it on TikTok, on Instagram, you're walking in the street, you can open up the app, and it brings you directly to a map where you can type that experience in. And when you look into the experience, you could save it to a guide that you want to create. You could send it to someone. You can look at all of the content that surrounds that experience, and you could see the chatter, how people are talking about it, and you can join the conversation. Everyone gets a Pike page. And so on your Pike page, you have your feed of curated guides that you have made. You can follow your favorite creators, you can follow your friends can follow you, and you can see your list of all the experiences that you have liked, agnostic of the guide that they're living in. And so the real magic happens on your feed. So this is the discovery feed, and what you're able to do here is see through what's near you, what you're interested in, or things that have nothing to do with your interests. And so the feed is constantly evolving and growing with you over time. And so you could see something as niche as this, exploring Brooklyn's glitchcore music scene with Eduardo Paul. How many of you knew glitchcore was like a genre of music? I didn't, but apparently people are into that. And when you click into the guide, you see all the different experiences that live within that. And so you could favorite the guide, you could remix it if you like some type of content in it, but not everything. You could share it, and then when you click into the guide, you can also take that experience and add it directly into a guide that you've created. On your following feed, you could see any updates from the people who you're following, whether they're your friends, whether they're your creators, whoever they are, including brands. And in this feed, you could also see new guides that are created. So if you like to hike, like me, you can see Craig Adams' ultimate day plan for when you hike North Dome. And it doesn't just include the hike, but it will also include all the other things you might want to do that surround that full day experience. If you're a destination, you can also create a profile on Pike. And here is an example of Discover Long Island. Anyone here from Long Island? Show of hands. Sweet. Yes, represent. And because we have different types of users on it, you'll be able to create guides that feel really bespoke to those different segments of your audience. So an example being 4 for 4, the best 4 days in the Hamptons for your family of 4. And if you know Long Island, obviously you have to stop at lunch and get a lobster roll. Brands can also play a role in this, right? They could do sponsored guides. Chase can do a sponsored guide that says your 2023 guide to the US Open. And all of the experiences that live within that guide are places where you get rewards, places where you might get exclusive access as a Chase Sapphire customer. And if you don't want to do a sponsored ad, a sponsored guide, that's okay too, right? But what role does a brand like Benjamin Moore play into this, right? But to deepen your relationship with your customer, you can curate those guides that really tap into your brand identity, your brand strategy. So a paint brand could curate a guide that has the most pink places that are in that area, right? And everyone loves a good Instagrammable moment. And we recognize that there's still a lot of heart for editorial. And so brands and different bloggers can create that editorial content. And when you click into it, it has the written words that surround that experience. It has the character of the journalist, right, who's really talking about their moment and what they felt like when they went through that experience. And when you see those experiences within the guide and the editorial content, again, you can click it, you can look into it, you can add it to a guide. And lastly, we see that businesses also have a place into this. So if you are a business and you see that there is a guide that's localized to, let's say, Vegas, then you could do a sponsored ad to promote your business. And so you could do this in two ways. You could do it at a local level when you're trying to use geofence technology to see what's around, but you could also target by on interests, right? Like if we see that there's a guide on best pizza places in the US, maybe you want to do a sponsored ad to have your business in that. And so here's to a new age of travel that moves us from an experience-inspired community to a community-inspired experience. So we're going from individual ownership of these best of lists, and we're democratizing that and putting the community back into the guide creation process. We're going from a time of being spontaneous to a time of really intentional fun. We're going from the laundry list of things to do to really curated, unique experiences. And we're going from things that are expected to the unexpected. So I invite you to join us in driving a world of tastemakers through unexpected corners of our current moment. Thank you.
Sleep, sleep. Now that the night is over, and the sun comes like a god into our room.
What is StaySense Amplify? StaySense Amplify is a transactional and embeddable OTA that serves short-term rentals on any destination website. Why does it matter? That's a little more complicated. We'll start with a story. So here we are in Vegas. Vegas is an awesome town with lots of parties. And the problem with the parties is those parties invade our neighborhoods. So this is the Signature MGM. It's less than a mile from where we sit right here. So the Signature has a lot of stakeholders. Has a multinational hotel brand behind it. It has individuals that live here. It also has individuals that own properties here. This property here is a property that I own over there. It's professionally managed. It has a 24/7 property manager that takes care of it. But it neighbors with a hotel guest. So if somebody has a party there, it's going to impact a lot of reputations all at once. It's going to impact the MGM, the city of Las Vegas. It's going to negatively impact vacations, perhaps a conference. All kinds of different people will be impacted from it. Recently, a booking came in. The booking came in from Airbnb. Now, it raised a few red flags for somebody that's been involved with short-term rentals for over a decade. The name didn't match. They had a question about, hey, what happens if we break your rules on a party? How does it work if we exceed maximum occupancy? Do we still get to stay and you just kick out those people? And a few other questions, and I'm like, bad operator right here. So I contact Airbnb. Airbnb, though, they say, hey, let's keep working on this. You know, I think they're okay.
See, Airbnb has a different interest than the local community. Their allegiance is to Wall Street. They have to post profits. They don't care about Main Street or Las Vegas Boulevard. So I chose to cancel the guest. But I chose to cancel the guest because I've dealt with thousands and thousands of guests before. I'm not afraid of Airbnb when they tell me they're going to demote my property and when they tell me they're going to fine me. I talked to some of my friends and asked them, how would you have handled this? Both property managers, professional hosts, as well as people that self-manage their units, like a doctor friend of mine that lives in California said, I wouldn't have canceled it. I would have been afraid of Airbnb, the bully in the situation, and that's too high of a risk. This is a high risk. When people die at Airbnbs in our destination, nobody cares if you outlawed Airbnbs first. That's negative publicity. Nobody cares when a child drowns in a swimming pool if it was an unregulated unit. Nobody cares about that. You see, these parties and accidents, they're going to happen. Don't make the mistake of thinking we can outlaw short-term rentals and somebody that was looking for a 6-bedroom beachfront house isn't going to stay in a beachfront house. They aren't going to go book the Marriott instead if they were looking to stay with 15 of their friends. They're going to stay at that property that had a deck collapse and a child die. So how do we empower local companies in a way that will help those local companies deliver exceptional guest experiences and also in a way that helps our destinations? So we like partnering with destination websites because we are pro-regulation, we are pro-advocacy, we want to solve the problems around affordable housing, and we think destinations and communities that are there and on the ground are uniquely positioned to solve those challenges. One of the ways that this can be solved is with a site like Visit Florida here. They went ahead and they added short-term rentals because they realized when they add short-term rentals to their website, they can control who they're giving exposure to. So they're giving exposure to a licensed, regulated, vetted property management company that pays taxes. But the problem is, the search experience is really clunky. It takes you from one website to a subdomain to another website. Now you're re-entering your dates a second time. After this Easter egg hunt, you found out, oh, it's not even available. That disappoints an end user. And guess what they do? Right back over to Google. They're going to find Airbnb. Airbnb is really good at frictionless booking. They're an OTA. That's what they make all of their money on. And so the same end user, they can book a property and they can do it in under a minute or two. Well, the reason that's a problem is it's just as easy to list your property on Airbnb. And Visit Florida had found the vetted property management company that was the right one we wanted them to book with. However, when they went over to Airbnb to make the booking, it could be anybody that they're booking with. This is the unique problem that we're uniquely qualified to solve. We've owned OTAs for over a decade now. Our OTAs specialize in vacation rentals and short-term rentals. We have the processes to vet the vacation rentals. We have the processes to handle all the customer service. We're already doing that. We do that for thousands and thousands of reservations each month. But what we want to be able to do is to do that on destination websites, to bring the proper inventory, the proper short-term rentals to your destinations. PigeonForge.com just launched with us last month. And they went from a static website that had billboard-like ads that would send people off to either subdomains that they controlled or other sites. When they launched with us, they get to vet who is on their site. They also get to have an end-to-end booking experience that happens right there on their own website. It's an OTA-like experience. It's that go from looking for a property to being able to book a property in under a minute or two. And they aren't losing their website visitors that they worked really hard to earn. They were running ad campaigns and all of this, and they were working hard to earn that traffic. And in the past, they would just siphon that traffic off and leak that traffic off to other sites. That's a lot to read. I'm not going to do all that. You guys know how to read. You'll get the deck later. Basically, I think the big idea here is that we care about destinations. We care about the people in those destinations. We care about the travelers that are coming to those destinations. And we believe that there is the possibility to simultaneously protect all of those interest groups. And the way we're going to do that is by recognizing that already today, short-term rentals, depending on which study you look at, are about 20% of the lodging dollars in this country. That's projected to grow to about a third of the lodging dollars by 2030. If we aren't incorporating short-term rentals into our destinations, we're leaving visitors on the table, we're leaving money on the table, and we're going to, by accident, hurt local businesses. We're going to hurt our local community. But we have to be able to do it in a responsible way. We have to be able to go from a billboard site that sends people to a wonky subdomain with a redirect along the way and lose the traffic along the way to an actual embedded and vetted OTA-like experience on our own destinations. We do all this for free. This doesn't cost you anything. There's a guest service fee similar to most OTAs. That's where we make our money. In reality, what we can do is we can actually pay to fund things like studies around short-term rentals out of what a property manager would normally pay as a commission. We can also use that money to levelize a bed tax if you don't have a bed tax on short-term rentals. We can use the money to fund advocacy efforts in your communities. Or even with one destination, I was talking with them, and they wanted to make a donation to a certain homeless shelter that's helping clean up the downtown area. All of that's possible, and it's completely free of charge to each of you. We're over at booth 309, and we brought Yetis for every single person here. So we'd love to give you a Yeti. If you don't want to go to the booth, we have them back here in the back. John's got his hands up, and so all you have to do is go see him, and he'll give you a free Yeti. Or stop by the booth and talk to us. We'd love to talk destinations, marketing, short-term rentals. This is our passion, and we appreciate it.